125 Supercross riders have been in Minneapolis all weekend, working on their bikes, practicing on the track. And now, tonight, they are ready to race the track and try to catch one guy. History was made last week as a young Yamaha rider became the first Australian ever to win an American Supercross race. The young guy beat a lot of old guys, and we'll try it again as EA Sports Supercross moves to Minneapolis for round 7. From the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's the second round of the 125 East Division. Welcome to EA Sports Supercross, presented by Speed Stick. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman along with former champion David Bailey. We opened up the 125 East season last week to many surprises. Grant Langston, the favorite, DNF'd. He did not finish the race. And then Michael Byrne. Watch this. At the height of a triple jump, the bike comes down on top of him. I'm happy to report, however, he's doing well, though, with a broken collarbone, broken ankle, and bruised lung. Well, it's too bad, too, because he had already moved into the top 3 spot. Plenty of time to catch up to the leader. He hit a soft spot in the takeoff and just buckles right there. An ankle injury. The bike hits him, but it could have been a lot worse. Also, the riders right behind him, Boniface and Larry Ward, did a nice job to dodge him. It could have been a disaster. His countrymate Chad Reed went on to get the checkered flag. So it's been a wild way to start the 125 East, David. Well, it started out on Friday. Mike Brown, one of the favorites, crashed in practice. Mitch Payton's going, oh, no, not this again. And he wasn't 100%. Chad Reed was, and he took advantage of it. This week, there's the rumor that floating around that Chad Reed isn't 100%. He crashed in practice. In fact, didn't even ride yesterday's practice. So their roles have flip-flopped in terms of who's healthier. And as far as Grant Langston, if you're going to be as cocky as he was coming into the series, saying, I'm going to win the first round, I'm going to win the championship, there's no reason, then you have to back that up with a win, or at least find neutral and continue the race. Let's check out the Suzuki storyline now. Number 1, can Langston catch up? Number 2, will Reed repeat? And number 3, will the over 30 crowd, Ward, Dowd, and the likes, affect things tonight? David, let's take a look at the Speed Stick track map. I expect to see the whoops separate these riders tonight. After those, they make a right, go back across the starting line under the tunnel jump. But this rhythm section here has been spectacular all weekend. The riders have not found the fastest way through there yet.
In EA Sports Supercross, the 125 class is usually all about the youth. I mean, out west, James Stewart's 16 years old. And back here on the East Coast, it's a lot different. In fact, it's almost like a bet class. 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the point standings. Buddy Antunez, Larry Ward, John Dowd. Those guys' average age is 32, twice as old as James Stewart. But don't think those guys still don't have the speed, the right set of circumstances. With all the experience they have, one of those guys could reach out and grab one of these main event wins.
Buddy Antunez at the gate as we take a look at the fabulous crowd here at the Metrodome. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for EA Sports. Brown and Antunez, 2nd and 3rd in points. Payne, Boniface, a promising young rider out of the south of France. A 3rd-year rider, Jeff Gibson. We go down to a whole shot artist, Kelly Smith. He got the whole shot here last year in the main event, as well as last week. And we check out the entire gate trying to qualify. Now the top 9 will qualify directly to the main event. The rest will go to the LCQ, the last chance qualifier. We're almost set to go for qualifying round number 1. Watch Buddy Antunez. He's usually a good starter. 5-time Arenacross champion. That's Ward. Larry Ward. He'll be 32, by the way, coming up next April. He's getting up there. You got Brown and Langston in this one. Maybe that rivalry will continue. We're off and going. Langston, pretty good start. Boniface takes the lead. Langston trying to move into 2nd place. Takes the short turn. Langston comes out of the turn in 2nd place. He did a nice job right there because he had to go to the inside to make that block pass. Actually going down the block pass. Look at this. Oh, Kelly Smith getting active. He's on that Moto Triple X DGY team. Langston, our new leader. Langston's aggressiveness pays off right away. I was impressed that he was able to go to the inside of the entrance to the whoop section and still get the momentum he needed to hold on to his spot at the end. Langston, he's going to have to pull a Nathan Ramsey after a DNF in that opener. Ramsey broke a chain in the 99 season opener in the 125 West. He came back winning 5 of the remaining races to win the title by only 6 points. Look at this battle going on. Boniface, number 36, and number 34, Kelly Smith.
Well, earlier in the qualifier, because both Kelly Smith and Langston didn't have a good first round. They weren't seeded. There's Mike Brown coming into the picture. So they had to ride a preliminary qualifier. Langston won it, and Kelly Smith was all over him. We might see some more of that.
Here comes Boniface. Boniface to the outside. Can he get the edge on Smith? Yes, he moves into second place. Boniface, living in California with his mom and dad. He's from France. Came over last year for the first time with AMSOIL Honda, factory connection. Got injured and is back to try again on the KTM.
He looks good. First time I ever saw him ride the bike, he looked great on it. And Mike Brown has an opportunity here to see what these guys are doing and take advantage.
The yellow arrows next to the name mean they're in qualifying position now. Sixth to Jesseman. That goes through the top 9. Ryan Clark, number 54. And we're on board with Ryan.
This is coming up for the first turn. Came in. This is the first triple. Oh, that looks cool. The rider next to him looking over to make sure he's got enough clearance to go wide in that corner. We're bar to bar, Art. We are for once.
Yes. Langston pulling away. Boniface in second place. Brown in third.
Little contact right there, so Clark has to back out of it under the tunnel. Another triple. This one's really steep. These guys go even higher. They'll make this left. They've got 4 jumps. Oh, Kelly.
Buddy Antunez went down too. Buddy Antunez went down just out of the tunnel.
So Kelly Smith will have to go to that last chance qualifier if he can start that 4-stroke. Sometimes you get lucky and they fire right up, but a lot of times this is the case. You get leg pump trying to get this thing started again.
Taking another look now, David, and see how this all took place.
Well, he was trying to get into it, Brown, a little bit, trying to hold his position, going into the tunnel. Brown's like, you know what? I got the inside. Too bad. He goes down, the sleeve slides up.
And a bad break for Buddy Antunez as well, coming through that tunnel, coming under the bridge. He also went down.
You know, I'm really impressed starting this year with Langston. I watched him a lot this morning in the practice, and then also in that preliminary qualifier he had to ride. And he's a different guy. He soaks up the jumps a little bit different. He's got a new style. He's a lot more animated on the bike, which is what you have to be in Supercross to deal with all these obstacles coming at you. The faster you go, the busier the track gets, and the busier you have to be on the bike.
All he can really do is his best now and try to aggressively stay out in front and stay up on the bike, because he's going to need some help to win a championship.
He will, but he might get it. Well, Byrne's out of the picture for one thing. Brown is going to be tough to catch. Reed, although he looked good in the practice session, you know, it's questionable how good he's feeling, and he's going to need a big break, though. He's got one with having his teammate back there as a buffer in the heat race.
Second place, Boniface. And that's how he pronounces it, by the way. Even though it's French, it's Boniface. He says Boniface. White flag, final lap of our first qualifying round here in the 125 East. Former Euro champion, 125s in the 80s. He's a 7-time French Supercross champion, Boniface. And here's a 2-time world champion, number 111, Grant Langston. Boy, KTM has got to be smiling right now as they take a look at this final lap of qualifying.
Well, Langston decided to take it easy this last lap, and Boniface, they've got to pick their line to the weak section of the down rider. Looks like Langston will be able to hang on to this, but nice ride from Boniface to get right up in there and make this a good-looking finish shot for KTM.
Langston won his heat race in the opener last week, and Boniface took a second. And it was truly impressive in his heat as they look toward the checkered flag right now. KTM in our first qualifying heat. Grant Langston and Boniface. Brown in third. Jesseman in fourth.
Pretty strong ride from Jesseman to catch up with that pack and stay in contact with Brown. They weren't quite as fast as these guys, but it's just a heat race. They'll fix that in the main.
Checking out the Honda results page as we look at Grant Langston. Oh, he's got to be feeling good about that heat race. Just took away with it. Langston, Boniface, Brown, Jesseman, and Jeff Gibson, the top 5. Clark, Short, Blair, and Hatzel, they go right to the main event, and we'll return. Round 7 of EA Sports Supercross is being brought to you by Suzuki, the reigning AMA 125 Eastern Region Supercross and Arenacross champion. by EA Sports. If it's in the game, it's in the game. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Antunez and Smith on to the LCQ, but Langston showed us the determination to get back in the win column, and he's with Davey Coombs right now.
Grant, we thought we'd get to talk to you last week after the main event, but your night ended a little early. Glad to see you back up on top.
Yes, good to be here again. I mean, I won this, the heat race last week, and won it again today, but the final didn't go the way I planned last week, so hopefully this time I'll stay on two wheels and at least get on the podium.
Good luck in the main.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Grant Langston crossing the finish line first with his teammate from KTM, Boniface, right after him as we take a look at our second qualifying heat lineup right now. Chad Reed, the first round winner, Larry Ward and John Dowd. Ward will be 32 in April. Dowd will be 37 in August. That would be the idea. Curry, he's got the flu, but he's game. Schnell, Chase Reed, Robbie Horton. Not quite as stacked a qualifying round as we saw in the opener.
No, and I'm waiting to see, I can't wait to see how Larry Ward and John Dowd race in this thing. I think they're having a good time ribbing each other a little bit about who's beating who, but I think Schnell with Yamaha of Troy, number 33, there's a look at Chad Reed right next to Larry Ward, but
Ward number 10.
Reed's teammate Schnell, I expect better things out of him. Maybe he can get things going here tonight. He's much better than the result he got last year.
Really is. He's a two-time winner on the West Coast as we check out Reed right next to the doghouse.
Johnny Marley, number 901 on the far outside. So he better get a good jump or he's going to be staring at tough blocks in that first corner.
Not an easy first corner after a long sprint, almost the entire length of the track.
It's tight, but I like the way they made a big sweeper out of it. Usually when you have a sweeper, you have less of a jam up and everyone moves through their smooth.
We're set to go. The board is sideways and we're off and running with our second qualifier. Chad Reed, a great break, and he is out in front.
See all the guys get jammed up back there, unable to do the triple. It just lets the top 4 or 5 guys check out.
Jacob Martin, number 139, but it's Chad Reed, 103, out in front with Martin in second place. A lot of triple digits up there, fighting for the lead. Michael Bloss from Phoenix, Arizona, on the YSA American Suzuki, number 482 in third place. But Reed looks like he's dominating, even though he's got a very sore hamstring. And I believe, too, he's got a groin injury as well in practice.
Nothing against these privateers behind him. It's a great opportunity for these guys, but I don't think they're capable of, I don't think they think they're capable of running with Chad Reed, who won last weekend in the main event.
So you're waiting for them to make a mistake.
Well, what's going to happen is he's going to let Reed just take off, and he's going to have another very easy race like he had last week. All he did was, he couldn't believe how he was able to just take his time and still win that main event, partially due to the fact that Byrne went down, Langston was out of it, and Brown wasn't 100%. He's got another ride like that here in this heat race.
Martin stays on the edge right there in the battle for second place. 3:55, David, is Robbie Horton.
They go into that tunnel and get on the power. There's an echo in there, and it gets loud.
Don't forget the yellow arrows as the top 9 will transfer directly to the main event. The rest, there'll be 4. The top 4 out of the last chance qualifier finishing out the gate. Well, a very bad start.
These guys having a good battle. They might start seeing Larry Ward and John Dowd in these next couple of laps. There's Larry Ward. He's just approaching the triple behind these guys.
Horton has got a lot of experience, and he whips it through the whoops.
It takes so much nerve to go in there the way he did. A lot of these guys are trying to time those because on a 125 they're so big. Unless you go in there and pin, which takes a lot of nerve, you end up losing all your momentum. Now, it's a great example of the 2 different techniques right there. Horton deciding, you know what, I'm just going to pin this thing, and it worked for the pass.
Here's John Dowd in 8th place, Dowdy. Number 16.
Surprised Dowd and both Dowd and Ward, good start. And they got the equipment together. Those KTMs are fast. Saw what his teammates did in the first heat. And Ward on that 254 stroke.
Dowd didn't do any riding at Black this week. It was snowing outside in Massachusetts, and he worked out in the gym every day, but didn't get a chance to get any riding done. He says, hey, I'll have to just see when I get on the track how that affects me.
Well, he was fast in the whoop section in the practice. Right up to the point where he went over the bars. Here he goes again. See how it goes. Couldn't stay on the top. It wasn't a bad run, but it's not quite as fast as he was going earlier. I think that crash caused him to settle down a little bit. Reed is just gone.
Chad Reed, very impressive in that YZ 250F. Started in 5th, 9 laps he was in 2nd place. Then he passed Brown on lap 13, led the last 3 laps for the victory. For his first 125 victory anywhere. I mean, they don't run professional 125 races in Australia. So he really kind of grew up on a 250. Went to Europe, was 2nd in the 250 GP World Championships.
I get the idea, too, that Reed really wants to be in the 250 class. He's obligated to ride the 125, but he wants to be in the 250 class. Ward working his way up.
Ward in 5th.
He's going to get a good run at the whoops. There it is for the pass. And that's why I was surprised in the first heat race that Langston was able to take the inside line like Blows just did there, but still come out looking good at the end. You need a good run at those things. If you come in slow, you're just going up and down, hitting them all.
Ward's still a little bit sore as we get the white flag for the final lap, as he had a rider run into him prior to last week's main event. Out of Florence, South Carolina, Matt Dowdy would drive 12 hours down to Ward's house in the preseason just to work out.
They should keep doing that, Art, because I've seen that practice track. I was working with a couple of riders down there, and they've added some to it since I left, and it was pretty busy when I was there. So he's got an excellent training ground, but I don't think he came into the season quite as ready as a lot of these other guys did. He's going to continue to get faster and more relaxed as the season continues.
Reed was a little tight in his first qualifier in a 125 last week, as he took a 3rd in his qualifying heat. And then came on strong, of course, to win the race. The checkers are out. The checkers are waving. Reed takes the qualifier. Robbie Horton, his best qualifying finish in years, in 2nd place.
I'll tell you what, if Reed did pull a groin or whatever the heck it is that they're trying to keep quiet over there, he's sure doing a nice job of disguising it, because he looked good in practice and he's already off to a great start winning his heat race.
The Suzuki leaderboard, and we'll check out the order now of those who've qualified, especially Chad Reed, Horton, Martin, Larry Ward in 4th, John Dowd up to 5th. Los Mertens, Johnson, Schnell all qualify with Paul Curry and the rest of the crew going on to the LCQ. Jeff Emig will be talking to Chad Reed when we return to Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is a great 2nd round of 125 East action. Welcome back to the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's take a look at our upcoming events now as we venture down to New Orleans, over to Houston, St. Louis, and then on to Pontiac, Michigan. Our EA Sports Rider of the Week is number 103, winning last week in Indy. A great start to a young career. He visited with former champion Jeff Emig.
First off, tell me, how did you get into the sport of motocross?
Pretty much, I had an uncle that used to race and a cousin that's a few years older than me, and he had bikes and my uncle had bikes, so pretty much, you know, once they got into it, you know, I was on my dad's case, you know, get me a bike, I want to get out there and just be like my big cousin, so that's pretty much how it started, and yeah, pretty much I started racing when I was 4-year-old and been doing it ever since.
Seems like a lot of the Australians, they grew up on farms, whatnot, riding out on, did you live on a farm? Or?
Yeah, where I live was, you know, it was pretty much a rural area. There was, you know, just straight down the street there was, you know, bush. So, you know, I had 2 tracks to go riding on that was, you know, within half a mile, you can call it, I guess. And,
half a mile, however long that is.
Yeah.
You had a lot of success in Australia, winning multiple championships. And then why did you choose to go to Europe and ride the GP circuit before you came here to the U.S.?
It was a pretty hard, you know, tough decision. I thought about it a lot, and, you know, I just wasn't in the position to put myself on a good team here in America. So, you know, I went to Europe and I raced the Motocross Nations, and pretty much, you know, I was offered a full factory Kawasaki team, and, you know, I pretty much chose the bike and the team over, you know, something that I could have had here in America. So, and I think it's only been for the better. You know, now, you know, I've finished second in a World Championship, and, you know, that gives me a little bit of pull, and, you know, I can come here with some pretty good sign-on money and some good experience as well.
But now you're here in the States riding Supercross, which I would assume has always been your goal.
This is
your dream.
This has been my dream for forever. It's, you know, from as long as I can remember. You know, I've been watching videos with, you know, yourself, Jeremy, everybody, and just wanted to be like you guys. It was everything I wanted to do, is come here to America and, you know, talk on ESPN.
There you go.
That was pretty much it, and, you know, to be here and to be pretty much in the middle of it, it's, you know, it's exciting. It's, you know, sometimes I just look at it and this is everything I wanted, and, you know, finally I'm here, and it's awesome.
But you're just starting out.
Just starting, so that's also a good thing. You know, I really want to race 250, so, you know, one day that's where I want to go.
Would you be happy with anything other than a 125 East Coast Championship this year?
No, because I consider myself a 250 rider, and, you know, stepping down to that class, I feel, you know, I'm stepping down to step back up. So, you know, I need to win some races and some championships. So when next year comes around, you know, I've got some good things, you know, on my name, and so I can step it up.
Our Honda close-up today involves several riders and a question after last week's win by Chad Reed. Who's better, the 125 East or West?
Everyone would like to know, like, you know, the guy who's winning on the West, would he be winning on the East, and would the guy on the East be winning on the West? So it's always a point that gets debated about.
The field's pretty deep here on the East Coast. There's a lot of guys, a lot of name guys, and a lot of guys that are going to be able to go out there and do 15 laps week in and week out.
I don't know. I'm not for sure. I ain't going to say nothing bad, but I think we have more better riders on the East Coast than the West Coast.
It seems like the East has got quite a bit of depth in the class. You know, there's a lot of fast guys, but I don't know. I guess we'll see in Vegas in the shootout.
All the action isn't limited to qualifying or main events. Look at this 125 practice session last week.
That's just devastating, but the good part is both these guys walked away from it, and those triples are huge. They're so big, they're blind, and that's what caused that wreck.
We'll be back. It's main event time, coming up next in Minneapolis.
What is the sense of an avalanche?
Youngsters having fun in the stands here in Minneapolis prior to our 125 East second round main event. They're part of 54,657 in attendance here this evening. Join host John Kernan for the fastest half hour in television. It's RPM tonight, weeknights at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. More information, log on to ESPN.com. Our Nissan last chance qualifier results, Kelly Smith and Buddy Antunez getting into that main event finally with Chas Reed and Joshua Woods. Billy Payne gets the gas card. Our Honda main event starting grid then looks like this, as it's the top qualifier, Grant Langston. Chad Reed's looking for his second win in a row. Steve Boniface strong for the second consecutive week. Robbie Horton, one of his best qualifying efforts. And you got Mike Brown, Branden Jesseman, Larry Ward, John Dowd, all looking for great starts to get up near the close. And you saw the ceiling cam or the sky cam here at the Metrodome as we take a look now at the Powerade hole shot. After these guys leave the gate, they'll go up there on a long straightaway and turn left. And the first one that gets out of that first turn in the lead wins $1,000. You see the lights there and the white line, the Powerade hole shot. Now, in 6 rounds, we've had 6 different winners in the 125s this year. Only one of the 6 won the race, David Bailey. So we got a lot of dicing going on after the first turn.
Well, that's what's so great. It's not just the guys that are getting the start and running away with things. Some of the greatest racing, and that's what happens when I cruise around the pits and the stands, watching practice, people come up to me and they say, hey, Dave, who do you think's going to win tonight? And I'm like, I have no idea. It's been that kind of season, East and West. Chad Reed just to the right of that starter's box, so he's going to have a little more elbow room to his left as soon as he gets out over the gate. 30-second card down here that's gone sideways.
Reed got a 5th place start in the opener in the first round as we wait to get set from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Reed out in front, but Boniface to the inside. Chad Reed gets the Powerade hole shot. Boniface is right there, though. Grant Langston in 4th place, and Brown is in 5th place, with Buddy Antunez moving back to 7th.
Ward getting around him. A lot of the favorites up front this week.
Kelly Smith also getting a good start. He's a great starter. Number 36 there on the orange flag in the KTM. That's Boniface.
Langston right there in 3rd behind his teammate has been flawless in all of his qualifying races and preliminary qualifiers, but he'd trade all those in for a win in the main event here.
I guess the question is now with the injury between races to Chad Reed, can he endure 15 laps and hold off Boniface and Grant Langston?
Well, Boniface goes strong in his heat race, rode up on the rear wheel of this guy right here. Before the end, I think Langston let up a little bit at the end, but it seems like Boniface was a little bit tight last week, a little nervous. He's got that out of his system now, and he's keeping the pressure on. I think if Langston were right on Reed right now, he might be a little bit more worried, though.
Looked strong all weekend, that's for sure. Practice through qualifying. Was 2nd in the qualifying heat last week. Took 7th in the main event. We're talking about Boniface as he's chasing down number 103, Chad Reed.
You hardcore fans out there that have watched Jeremy all those years, look at the similarity right there. Chad Reed, if you put on Jeremy's helmet and Jeremy's number, it almost looks like the same guy.
He's always looking past the next turn. Seems like.
Yeah, you got to, the farther ahead you look, to a certain degree, the faster you can go. You got to process all of that.
There you see Ward with the green over his number. That means he moved up a position on the last lap. If there's a red block, like Burton's right there, that means they drop back 1 lap.
I don't think Langston can afford to wait much longer. If he sits back there a couple more laps, Reed's going to be gone. He's trying to take some different lines, but since it's his teammate, he's trying to be polite. He may run out of patience here in a couple of laps. He's got Brown all over him now.
And, of course, there's no team rules right now at all because Boniface, he's out to try to win his very first 125 Supercross.
I talked about Brown being on Langston. He knows for sure that's who it is now. He looked over his shoulder in the air on the triple. He knows he's got Larry Ward back there, too. Larry Ward's pretty crafty. He's been around this long time.
That's right. It's Reed, Boniface, Grant Langston, Brown, Ward, Kelly Smith, John Dowd in 7th, Ryan Clark in 8th, and Robbie Horton in 9th with Schnell in 10th.
That last lap, Reed a second faster than second place Boniface, starting to open it up a little bit. Brown looking better. I saw him after the practice session. He came up to watch the 250s and gave me a thumbs up. Seems to be feeling a lot better.
Well, he had a good opening round, winning his qualifying heat. He held the lead for 10 laps, and then he got passed by Reed on lap 13. He was never challenged for 2nd place last week. He had a very strong ride.
He got out in front long enough, rode a good pace long enough to secure 2nd place.
And he would like nothing better, David, than to pass Langston here.
He would love it. I saw him, looked like he tried to get behind him in practice a couple times to size all of that up. This is going to be a great battle for 2nd. I say it every week. It may cause a little bit of a jam up, having to block past each other and protect the line, which, of course, would be good for Chad Reed out front.
Right now, Chad Reed is looking good for a possible 2nd win in a row here in the 125 East. Boniface in 2nd, Langston up to 3rd with Brown on his tail.
There's never been a better time to hit the trails because it's Suzuki Fest time. Let us reward you when you buy a new Suzuki Quadrunner ATV. Suzuki Fest rewards as low as 2.95% APR financing available on selected Quadrunner models like the Vincent 500 and so many more at great rates too. Or how about up to $400 in your choice of free accessories? Virtually anything you want. Our deals have never been this good, but you have to get down to Suzuki Fest soon. Then go hit the trails. Moo.
Gateway's gold medal savings event is flying high. So just call 1-800-GATEWAY and ask about the Gateway 500 SE. It's loaded with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, a flat panel monitor, a CD burner, plus much more for just $9.99. And check out other desktops as low as $5.99. It's all at Gateway's gold medal savings event. So call
Welcome back to the Metrodome. The 125 East main event in their second round for the Eastern Series. And it's Chad Reed now starting to pull away from Boniface in second place. And Langston has been unable to make a move on Boniface.
Yeah, Reed's still holding the comfortable lead. It looks like he's pulling away because he's got such a big lead. But actually that last lap, Boniface, a tenth of a second faster, responding to all that pressure he feels from Langston and Brown. He's checked away from those guys now. See the gap he has.
Yes.
Now Langston's a little bit more concerned about what's going on behind him with that big number 3 than his teammate.
Boniface was rather unheralded coming out of France, compared, of course, to the Billemans and Pichons and Jean-Michel Bales. But my goodness, he's looking strong.
He is. Had like number 531 or something last year. A few people not knowing who he was actually call him Steve what's-his-face, but we're going to be pronouncing it correctly from now on. He looks good.
He speaks very good English with a good accent. Don't forget ESPN.com for the webcast. You can hear these races live and then watch what you heard on our telecast the next weekend.
Man, Reed looks good through the woods. He's got a nice rhythm. Kind of like we see Villeman doing in the 250 class from week to week, jumping through there. They start to get worn down by the main event. He and Antunez, Larry Ward, and Langston took a long look on that parade lap. Check out the track before this main event, and it's paying off for Reed right now.
It's going to be fascinating to see a guy as mature as Chad Reed, even though he's a rookie in the 125 American Supercross, to go up against James Stewart, who's a 16-year-old rookie in the other series, you know, and that'll all be live from Las Vegas on May 4th. $5,000, a bonus to the winner, and a $20,000 paycheck.
See, one hop, two hops, hops out, hops up over that double, no problem. Still doing it smooth. You can see from that roof cam shot a little bit of a rut starting to develop. It'll get a little bit more defined. Some guys like going through the rut because some of them are lower. Other guys choose to go to the side. So they don't have to have that exact balance to stay in the rut. And Boniface really not feeling any pressure from Langston and Brown. That surprised me a little bit, that either those guys aren't riding up to par or that Boniface is riding over par for what we've seen him do so far in the series. Dowd having a problem.
Dowd getting back on the race course after going down.
Exactly in the spot of the whoops he crashed in practice. Almost the same exact whoop. Looks like he's bent his handlebars. He's going to pull over to the mechanics area. And Reed hopping through, still having no problems, up over the double into the corner. And he looks flawless so far.
You know, it's truly an international series when you get Chad Reed in first from Australia, Steve Boniface from France in second, and Greg Langston from South Africa in third. Then we get the Michael Brown out of Tennessee. That's kind of a foreign country, too, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm only kidding, of course. Good friends there. On the stopwatch time. There's your last lap time at this lap.
Matt Reed maintaining his edge, building up that lead a little bit, but man, Boniface got to be pleased with the way this has gone so far. But as the laps, he gets down with about 3 laps to go, 2 laps to go. I expect to see the gap close a little bit. We'll find out if he's able to deal with pressure.
Pressure was his middle name in the first race. We'll see if he can hold on as the fight for the checkered flag will continue here at the Metrodome when we return. We're back at the Metrodome, number 103 on the Yamaha, the Boost Mobile Yamaha of Troy Yamaha, is Chad Reed. He's piling up the lead laps today.
Yeah, he looks good. Now look at the battle for second behind him. Starting to get a little bit closer, a big gap back to this battle. But Langston has started to really tighten up that gap on Boniface. So like I was saying, Boniface may start to feel a little bit heat going down to the wire here, and we'll find out just how tough he is under pressure.
Oh, that's a great shot of the whoops. And they're not breaking down that badly.
Not as bad as I thought. guys are starting to use the side of that tunnel, actually the wall for a berm.
52.1 for Chad Reed on the last lap.
Yeah, then you see all the lap times here, 52s and 53s. So Reed has been steady with those 51s and 52s.
Reed, non-related, number 255. Let's check in trackside with Davey.
Guys, I'm watching Steve Boniface, our second-place rider, and you know what? I think that he has frustrated Grant Langston. Early in the race, we saw Grant make a couple attacks on him at the end of the whoops, going outside and actually making contact. Steve Boniface is able to hold him off. I think that really frustrated Langston. Next time he gets close, I look for him to actually make real contact if he wants to make this pass.
Yeah, I believe, I totally agree with you, Davey. When it gets down to these last couple of laps, which we're approaching, you can expect Langston, who rides pretty aggressively. Remember all the battles he had with Mike Brown last year in the Outdoor National Series. He knows how to get in there and take the line away. The only way he's going to win this championship is if he does things like that. This is 2 points that he'll pick up if he can pass Boniface.
He would still be 28 points down to Reed if Reed would hold on.
Better than 30, though.
That's a fact. And it's come down to that. The final race of the year. I'll never forget Shea Bentley in winning his 125 West crown.
Nobody knew what was happening on that. Davey actually broke the news to him. What a reaction.
There's Andrew. Andrew Langston looking on.
Pass.
Past John Dowd.
Lap 13. Pass. Can't wait any longer. Apparently, Boniface is a rider with a new level of confidence and belief in himself. He's not worried about Langston back there. He needs to give him something to worry about. They can fight it out in the KTM pits afterwards, but Langston needs these points after last weekend.
Boniface is not really surprisingly strong because he showed us this potential in the first race, in the first qualifying rounds as well. Only 2 laps to go. Langston is going to have to make a move here if he wants to pick up a couple of points.
He's got a chance here at the end. He's going for the inside.
Grant Langston. Boniface looks over. Langston to the inside. Boniface looks like he chose to go to the outside and tuck in behind Langston.
Looks like he could have gift wrapped that for him. He looked over and just went wide.
Come on, partner.
I don't know. I don't think that's a team order deal. I just think that Boniface is going, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. Go ahead before we run into each other. Podium's good enough.
But it certainly feels good for KTM. Final lap. White flag has been flying. Chad Reed looking like he's cruising to his second consecutive victory. He's not going to be on these 125s long if he keeps this up.
Now he wants to get this title over with so he can move back up to the class where he feels like he belongs. And although he's spoiling this for the KTM guys here in the East, just like Stewart did in the West, but tell you what, the KTM team is strong. They wrapped up that last West Coast round with 2 riders on the podium.
Yeah, they have Rock Sellers and Pingree, both winners out west. Chad Reed having some fun. The checkers are waving. Chad Reed has now won 2 in a row and takes a big advantage in the 125 each points race. The battle for second, it'll be Boniface giving way to Grant Langston. Well, I'm telling you, Chad Reed shows the grit of a champion, doesn't he? He's riding through the pain of that groin injury. Yamaha's second straight. Kind of making up for the getting shut out in the 125 West. Chad Reed.
Didn't ride yesterday's practice session. I thought, well, if that's the case, it must be pretty bad. But as soon as he went out in the first practice session today, I was like, what injury? This guy looks fine to me, and he just proved it.
Give credit to Larry Alexander, his mechanic, and check out the Suzuki final results here of our 125 East Main, the second round of this region division. Reed, Langston, Boniface on the podium. Brown up to 4th. Ward up to 5th. He won the battle with, of course, John Dowd, who had a very, very poor race. Snell came from a long way up to 7th place. And there you see Dowdy on 17th place point with Jesseman, a very disappointing 19th. Langston walking away, putting his hat on, headed toward the podium. He can't be all that happy right now, David.
Well, these guys they got a little rivalry going. I know Langston was coming in with a little bit higher hopes than a DNF in a second, but you got to start somewhere. Reed got the start, stayed out of trouble, while Langston may have taken a little, like Davey said, he got in there on his teammate in the beginning, but might not have been aggressive enough to get in and challenge this guy.
Chad Reed's girlfriend making sure he has the nourishment to do a good job down at the podium. Let's go to Davey.
Well, Chad, once again, you came out and showed these guys in America that you are for real. Your Supercross experience, wow, man, we had no idea you would be packing this.
You know, it's tough for you guys, you know. America's a long way away from, you know, Australia. And, you know, I'm here to win races and win championships. I've dreamed this my whole life, and I'm just putting 100% in it, you know. That time I just wanted to go for the whole shot and, you know, just drop back and just go for points. You know, I was nowhere near 100% today. But, you know, there's one guy I really want to thank. It's Jeff Spencer. He's the, you know, Monday I couldn't walk, and, you know, now I've won the race, so I really want to thank him a lot. My girlfriend Ellie, and, you know, of course the Boost, Mobile, Yamaha of Troy, Thor, AST, Smith, just everybody for cheering me on and giving me that great support to win this race.
You told us last week that you can't wait to get up there and ride on the 250 class, and right now in the YZ 250, yeah, I got to tell you, you've almost got these tracks mastered. Are you going to ride a 250 race before the end of the season?
You know, Yamaha offered me a full works 250 to race in Houston, so, you know, I'm considering that, but, you know, my main aim is to win this championship and win as many races as I can. Maybe I'll rock up, maybe I won't, we'll see.
I'll tell you, the way you started the season on the YZ 250F, then come out here on the 4-stroke, very well-rounded rider. You got to be pleased with how things are going.
Yeah, thanks, Davey. You know, this has been my dream to come up and talk to you, and, you know, it's here, and, you know, I just got to touch myself, and this is for real, and, you know, I'm in business, and this is what I want to do.
Nice ride.
Thank you.
Chad Reed saying it's a dream come true to be up there talking with Davey. I wouldn't go that far, but no, he's happy for the win. There's no question about it, and it's an all-abroad podium with Down Under, South Africa, and Europe. Chad Reed takes the momentum over in the 125 East with a splendid run, despite, as you heard, a very painful injury that hampered him all week long. Unable to work out, he still came back with true grit to take over the championship points lead. Round 7 of EA Sports Supercross has been brought to you by Suzuki, the reigning AMA 125 Eastern Region Supercross and Arenacross champion. Speed Stick, power of nature for protection that smells good. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Another look at our Suzuki results page in our second round of the 125 East. Reed takes his second consecutive victory. Good performances, outstanding performances by the two KTM riders. Brown up to fourth. Ward winning the geriatrics. Ward against Dowd. But it wasn't the kind of race that Buddy Antunez would have liked.
No, he rounds out the top 10. He actually had to climb back into that spot after getting bumped around in the back. Just that kind of a night for Antunez. Actually had to go to the last chance qualifier just to make it into the main.
And a couple of more disappointing performances right here. John Dowd in 17th, and Jesseman, who showed speed but just not any consistency, in 19th place in this second round. A few minutes ago, Davey talked with our second and third place finishers.
Well, Grant, it looked like you got exactly what you wanted off the start, but it turns out your teammate Steve Boniface was a big roadblock for you.
Yeah, I mean, he was riding really good, and I mean, I could have maybe made an aggressive pass early in the race, but you know, at the beginning, Chad and Steve and myself, we had a pretty good pace going, and you know, when Chad started to edge away, I wanted to get around him, and I just seemed to get a little tight, little arm pump, and kind of struggled a little bit because of that, and kind of gave it all I had, and I think it was more little nerves. You know, last week I didn't even get to ride the whole main, so it's my first main for many months, and I think I just got a little too tense. But you know, next week hopefully I'll ride a little more relaxed, and I think I could have done better. What are you going to have to do to get after Chad Reed? Are you going to have to start with him and get aggressive with him as well? I mean, he's been getting good starts and kind of disappearing. Yeah, that's the problem. I need to get some better starts, and you know, the speed I had in the first 6 laps was good, and I just kind of struggled a little bit after that. So I think, you know, I need to be able to do 15 hard laps, and you know, because he can ride 15 good laps, you know, and I think me and him are very similar in speed. You know, it's just a matter of getting a good start and staying with him.
Nice ride, Grant. And right here, our third place rider, rounding out the all-international podium. Steve, congratulations, your first podium on a KTM.
Yeah, thank you. I had a good start, and I just tried to ride as fast as I can, and I'm really happy to finish third.
It seemed like early in the race, you and Grant Langston, you made contact a couple of times. He's your older teammate. Is there ever any team orders to pay attention where Langston's at on the track?
Actually, not really, but I rode really fast at the beginning, and he just tried to pass me. And after, I did a couple of mistakes, and Reed just pulled away. So at the end, I was a little bit tired, and I just gave too much to go to the crash and with Grant. So
it's still a very good ride. Congratulations on your first podium this year.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all my team, the KTM Red Bull, and my parents, my mom, my dad, everybody. Thank you.
A look at the Suzuki points page now as we look forward to the halfway mark of the season, but the second round in Atlanta, the third round in Atlanta coming up. Reed with a 10-point lead on Brown. Ward and Boniface tied for third. And you see here the top 10. John Dowd just in that top 10. Grant Langston moving in front of him up to the 7th place position. Joining us up in the booth now, huffing and puffing on his way up, Davey Coombs. Great observations down there. You had a lot of action down on the track today. And, of course, David Bailey. What about this 125 East from what you've seen so far?
Well, I got to tell you, Grant, Reed, Grant Langston, I'm already starting to get mixed up. Last year, Langston came in, and we thought that he was just going to dominate from the start, and it took him a long time. With Chad Reed, we've seen the complete opposite. I'm so impressed by this guy. I know he rode some 250 races out west, and to tell you the truth, right now, I think his biggest competition is going to be James Stewart when he gets to that 125 East-West shootout in Las Vegas. That
shootout, of course, the namesake of your father, Dave Coombs, Memorial Shootout, East and West. What's your opinion on that, David?
Well, it's definitely going to be good. If Reed can continue to ride as consistent as he has and be in the right place at the right time, that could be enough to beat Stewart. Stewart has the speed, but he's been a lot more wishy-washy and fast here and there, falls, some bad starts. So he's got to be a lot more steady to challenge Reed.
Of course, anything can happen still in this 125 East, and more races in the West to come before we hit Las Vegas on May 4th. That'll be exciting because it's live pay-per-view. You can see it right in your own home, that shootout between these 125 riders of both regions. We hope you can join us for our next telecast coming from the Atlanta, Georgia Dome. They'll ship some red clay in there, and we'll have a great race to see if Reed can continue his march through the 125 East. It's also the halfway point of the 250s. A lot of interesting action coming from there. Art Ekman along with Davey Coombs and David Bailey, thanking you for being with us from the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We saw some great racing here tonight. Chad Reed looking strong despite a nagging injury. Coming up next on ESPN2, Missouri Valley Conference Basketball. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more information, log on to ESPN.